Welcome to day 226 of 66 in 26, our journey to read through all 66 books of the Bible in 2026. There are a couple things I want to address today. First of all, do you know that we have finished 29 of the 66 books of the Bible? That might seem like a small number when you're thinking about, that's not quite halfway there. But we're well past halfway through reading the entire Bible. Many of the books that we still have remaining are shorter books, and we've covered some of the most difficult, including Jeremiah and Ezekiel and Leviticus, some of the most difficult books of the Bible, like Job. And so we're making some really great progress. Today we're in 1 Chronicles, which means that it's a little bit more of a difficult read, especially the early chapters of what we're reading today, 1 Chronicles 7 through 12. It's a lot of genealogy, a lot of list of names, so it could be discouraging, but it's also an opportunity to catch up a little bit. Maybe you were a day behind, a week behind, and you look at 1 Chronicles 1 through 6 and then 7 through 12, and there are a lot of names there, and you can just very quickly skim through and read those chapters. Kind of a great time to catch up. And second thing I want to address really is the chapters that we're reading today. The first few chapters are the conclusion of that accounting of all the families, going from Adam all the way through Abraham's family, Isaac and Jacob, and the tribes of Israel, so that the people who are after the exile know that their story is connected to God's faithfulness in the story of salvation history, going all the way back to Adam and tracking through Abraham, and they are still God's people. Even though they have experienced extreme hardship, disappointment, devastation, they're being rebuilt, and God's covenant is sure in that day as it was in the first day because of God's faithfulness. Then we start to get some of the repeated history, a little bit different angle or perspective on the story. We don't hear a lot about Saul until we're told about how Saul died, because the focus really is not on Saul. And then we get some of the story of David and his battles with Saul before he became king. And as we're wrapping up the chapters for today, 1 Chronicles chapter 12, we hear about how the tribes of Israel are leaving Saul, and they're no longer faithful to Saul, but now rallying toward David, who ultimately will be the new king over a united Israel. And so we get that story that we heard back in 1st and 2nd Samuel and 1st Kings, but now we're hearing it from a post-exile perspective, so that the people of God are reminded of how God is working through all these events for his purposes. And we can be reminded too, we can take a lesson from this in knowing that as we're reading through God's faithful carrying his covenant through the challenges of Israel, he is always faithful to us as well. And we can be sure that whatever we're experiencing, the joys and the challenges, the hardships, and also the successes and celebrations, God is working through all those things, because our story is part of God's salvation story, just as those people at the time of Saul and David. So as you're continuing to read, stay the course, keep fighting. I know it can be really discouraging sometimes. There's a lot to read, and we're doing well. We're 226 days into our 365-day journey, well over halfway. Let's keep going and enjoy this journey of reading 66 in 26.